Welcome into Pitchfork Lunch. Yes, it is Friday the 20th, and we are rocking and rolling here. I am Michael Carachanuto at Diablo00 on Twitter is where you can find me. Also see the show, also on my Facebook and live on, yes, my YouTube. Say it daily, Pitchfork Lunchers. I know for those of you checking it out, don't get tired of hearing it. Just plugging away. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like all the videos. Watch them. Well, I shouldn't say videos. Like all the shows. Watch them. It is absolutely entertaining, and we will have a great time. Sorry, I got to fix the hat. Driving me crazy. Anyway, so yes, on YouTube, at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 on YouTube. Pardon me, at MVC005 on YouTube. Subscribe. Well, a great show yesterday. Honestly, we rolled with schedules. Had Jason Mons on, the tight ends coach for ASU football, formerly obviously the head coach at Saguaro, who won a ton of state championships. Well, and I say a ton, I mean won 6 in a row, and was part of, I think as a coach altogether, he won 6 in a row as a head coach, and then they won 7. I want to say, he was a part of 11 state championships. 11. At Saguaro. So, and talking to him yesterday was awesome. As I get ready to travel up to Seattle, I'm thinking they're on their way there right now. As I get ready to travel up to Seattle, to take on the 5th ranked Huskies. And we all enjoy we all know, like I said, how number 5 teams do. Against the Sun Devils. Pardon me. Sorry about that. Reading a note. I know, bad live TV. But anyway, yeah, they're headed up to Washington. So it was great to catch up with Coach Mons before that. And we actually got something set up for a little bit later down the road with Coach Mons, which will be a lot of fun. Obviously, talking about how his dad, coached at ASU and kind of full circle back for him to be at ASU. But we got something coming up. Also, the volleyball team in Utah, we got to catch up with Jelly Sear on Wednesday, which is awesome. She is having, as is the team, but just such a great season. And yes, winning in Tempe is always fun. But for the 17th ranked Sun Devils, they now head to the Mountain Schools. They have Utah tonight at 7 p.m. We are very stoked, very excited for that matchup. Like Jelly said, she, I know asking questions about too far down the road, but when you get to this point, like you're in that spotlight. She said, no offense, but the coach tells us to ignore or talks with us about ignoring the media. So to ignore me in a way, but no, it was all in good fun. Jelly it was awesome to have her on. The team, everybody's contributing but just the season she's had and how she's grown and everything. So my point is missing these interviews. If you don't have it, then subscribe to the YouTube. They're all there. You can go back and watch. You'll see the interviews. We've talked to head coach JJ Van Niel from volleyball. We talked to Graham Winkworth from soccer. We obviously had Coach Mons on, players. Volleyball wise, we've had Roberta Habello, we've had Mary Schroll, now Jelly Sear, and soccer working on getting more. Speaking of Coach Winkworth, congrats, forks up to the Lady Devils, shutting out the Trojans, who, newsflash, just took another corner kick. Oh my goodness, what a phenomenal 1-0 victory over the Trojans. They had a few opportunities, I will say that, but this defense I talked about is so beautiful. And they had to defend, 15 corners? 15 corners they had to defend. And it's one of those things where and it's funny talking to a good friend, obviously of ASU sports, and always getting to talk to him. Saw him out at Mercury today. Nate Tibbetts, the new head coach of the Phoenix Mercury. But Jeff talking to me, he's like, I didn't realize just how tiring, the girls were joking about, but how tiring it is just defending corners. And yeah, USC had 15 for the game, but a 1-0 victory for our Lady Devils to get the 3 points, which is absolutely huge. And They get the 3 points, which is huge. And congratulations to Coach Winkworth and that team. I mean, it's just, again, it seemed like a good crowd out there, but man, you got to get more people out there. So it keep going out supporting them. But USC, UCLA on Sunday at noon for soccer. I will be out there again. Come talk to me, but more importantly, come to the game. Support the women's soccer team getting that 3 points against USC is just absolutely huge. Because real quick before we go to break and then have an awesome guest. I talked about it on Twitter, talked about it all through yesterday's show too. Natasha Adair, the women's basketball head coach, joining the list of head coach. Oh, Willie Bloomquist too. We had him on. Don't want to leave Coach Bloomquist out. But soccer standings real quick. ASU is – did they not update it? They didn't update the standings yet. Well, either way, ASU now has the same amount of points as USC because I can count, and that's all that matters. So that being said, UCLA demolished that school down south 4-1, and they're going to be coming up here looking to not let the Sun Devils do what they did and beat them, but they control the top of the standings through the Bruins. And there's nothing like we would love more, Sun Devil Nation, than to send the quote-unquote number one public university, as they like to say, home with a loss. I am a homer. You see it in the Twitter handle. It's been my Twitter handle since I've been on Twitter. And Pitchfork Lunch is about being a homer. I respect UCLA, but they need to go home with a loss. And this team defensively is so worth it. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back on the other side, Coach Adair is going to join us here on Pitchfork Lunch. So excited for that, talking women's hoops, the upcoming season, and whatever else she wants to talk about too, because it's Pitchfork Lunch. We have a lot of fun here, so we'll have a good time with it. We'll be back right after this with Coach Adair here on Pitchfork Lunch. All right, we are back here on my number one ASU show, Pitchfork Lunch, but that's because I'm a homer and I had this was a brainchild I told you all for a long time, and having coaches and players on and going through the whirlwind that is sports, even though it's technically a winter sport. Once August hits, this next person is, working hard before that because there's never truly any time off, but I'm going to bring in head coach Natasha Adair. Coach, it's great seeing you on this. I know I told you at football game. I told you at the football game I was going to have you on, and I made it happen. So, it's got to be prepared.
You made it happen. You made it happen. I'm glad to be here. It's been a long time coming. And so I think we're going to have some fun talking about this upcoming season. That's literally right around the corner.
I know. Well, and that's why I said like August is. I mean, I kid around, and even seeing Coach Hurley around, and seeing you around. Like I know, once school starts, yes, it's great because they're on campus. You can have your workouts, and believe me, I'm not getting anybody in trouble. Guy compliance, all the rules. I know how. Like you guys
Absolutely.
Can't be around them a lot, but they can be practicing. And once they get on campus, I pretty much know. Not that they haven't been doing their thing. Like I said to you, it's year round. They're doing their thing. But let's start with this because I saw the release, and I got to say, and kind of had a tear shed, and it's a bummer. It's part of the game, and you had to deal with it last year, all the injuries. But not having Ty this year. When I came out, I was like, man, I'm like, I just want to. And again, it happens in sports. Everybody gets it. Nobody roots for it. You got to play the game. But I just wanted to come give you a hug. Outside of giving Ty a hug, I wanted to come give you a hug. And no, people say to me, "Oh, you're such a." I'm like, no, it's not even about. I go, look, I've covered sports. I told you this last year through all levels, and there's. No matter what, a different sport, different team. I've always talked to a coach who just had a year. Like, I don't know what we can do. Like, it's crazy. Like, injuries happen. We understand it's part of it. But, man, losing somebody like Ty is obviously tough. But my question to you on the positive side, like, obviously she's on campus. How important is it for you to keep her, engaged, but around in practice so she can help her teammates out and be involved? Because I know for an athlete, when I've been hurt, that was kind of some of the best therapy for me, just being around my teammates and just talking about what they need to do and stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously when that happened, it was a big blow and you shedded a tear. I mean, I'm telling you, I was like, no, I'm dreaming. But to your point, we've been doing this a long time and you know that it happens and at the most inopportune times, if you will. But what Ty has been doing, Ty's a leader and she's been with me 4 years. She knows me. She knows the system. Her leadership, I think, has evolved over time. And she's benefited from some tremendous leaders in the past. And so in the gym, you wouldn't even really know she's not on the court per se, because her voice is so loud. I mean, she is talking to Jaden and Trey, and not just those two, but her whole team, but specifically those two, because those are our point guards and primary ball handlers. And she is so engaged. 3 days after surgery, I mean, she is crutching. I hear these little crutches behind me everywhere I go. And Michael, she's crutching behind me, and you could just hear her, you got to do this, and you got to do this, and you got to do this. And so we talked about what that looks like, what that leadership role will look like. And I also talked to her. I said, the first week when you find out, you're just angry, right? You're pissed. You're like, why, how? I'm doing everything. I mean, she takes care of her body, prides her body. And I like we talked about, I said, you can't avoid it. We don't know why. Coming from me, I've torn both, broken my ankle. I'm telling you, you and I know RoboCop. I'm RoboCop, right? And I have footage to prove I'm dating myself. But I said, there's going to be a process through this. You're gonna hurt, then you're gonna feel better. You're gonna see us playing, and you're gonna want to be out there. And that's where this leadership really has to step up in a different way and still be impactful. And so, I also referenced, Chelsea Gray, right? The Aces, and I think everyone in the country has seen just her impact from the sidelines and in the huddles, and so I envision a role similar to that. But she is engaged. I won't have to encourage her to be. And that's what she loves, the game. And so I think she'll see the game differently as a point guard. And again, she has eligibility left. Right. So we know that the fans will get to see her back on the floor at DFA at some point. But I just think that this is just the next step in her maturation process, leadership growth, and you will see her on the sidelines this season being really impactful and leading her team in a different way.
Yeah, that's why I felt better even asking you the question, because I thought my friends were saying, like, you got to ask her about that. I said, she's not going to run away from it. I said, but knowing that she obviously, again, with COVID and the craziness that everybody's had to deal with, knowing she had eligibility left, because that's what I go back to covering prep stuff, Coach, like in high school, like, yeah, like I said, nobody roots for injury, but when when it happens to a sophomore or a junior, like, all right, at least they get to come back and finish their high school career out the right way. When it's your senior year, it's like, oh God, that just sucks. But knowing she had eligibility left. All right, let's get the off season. I mean, the summer. Yeah. I know. Well, look, the rest of us, amateurs call it the off season, but your version of the off season, the summer. I mean, obviously your first, full year. Obviously, you've been here a full year now, starting your second season. But how was the off season? What'd you do to kind of like just decompress and get recharged for the season this year?
Decompress? I don't know if I did that, but I can say that I was mommy this off season as my daughter, and I'm sure everyone who knows me, I have a 26-year-old son who was the first to do it, and now my 18-year-old little princess Allie is now a freshman at Texas State. So I was, senior night and graduation party and
nice.
Orientation weekend down in Texas. I mean, so I I took the time to be mom, and I'm mom first. And I think that's the other thing that has benefited me over these 20 plus years as a coach. I coach from a maternal instinct. And when I'm talking to parents, I don't make a lot of promises, but I tell them as a parent, I promise when they lay their head down at night that their daughter's going to be okay. And that's important to me as a mom. And so just seeing Allie off to college, and I can't lie, Michael, I have been there 4 times already. Thank God the season is coming. It's here actually, because I made 3 games. I flew to Kansas. Even my dad said, leave that girl alone. Would you just leave her alone? And so I'm a full blown.
Coach, you're muted.
I think I lost you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you were muted. That's awesome.
It really hasn't been an off season, but what we do is obviously all the coaches have a little bit of downtime to recharge, recover, and reset. I think that's the word, and just assess where we are, what we need, and what's next moving forward. And I think for us, kudos to my assistant coaches, because they hit the ground running. And I know the conversation out here is transfer portal, and do you like it? Do you hate it? What it is, we're here. Right.
Like you said to me last year, like we said to each other, it's part of life now. It don't matter if we like it or not. It's part of life.
Absolutely. And I will tell you that we have benefited from it, knowing that we've had some changes in our roster. We have 8 new players.
And look at that. Great minds think alike, Coach, because not to cut you off, I was going to segue into that. Talk to the people here, because I've been telling, and even on the men's team, I mean, I got out, talked to Coach Hurley, saw some of the first day of practice, but with the transfer portal, hey, coaching, I know it's never easy. Even if you have, all like 15 returners, whatever, it's still never easy. But with the transfer portal, getting people to mesh, not easy. But yeah, talk to my fans out here on Pitchfork Lunch with some of the new faces. You added some height, it looks like. And this year, like I said, I say to the basketball gods, look, I am a homer for the Sun Devils, but leave Coach Adair's team alone. Injury bug. Leave it alone, because and like I told everybody last year, you guys were grinding. You had a short bench, not by choice, not by your doing, but you had a short bench, but they grinded and they fought. And, if people were at the games, they could see that. I know it didn't turn in the win columns, but yes, let's focus on this year's team. Some height, some depth. Talk to me about these new faces.
Absolutely. Well, I know the fans will be so excited to see Maggie Besselink. Maggie Besselink is here, has been here, has fought through injury. That word is not taboo, but she's fought, and I'm so proud of her resilience, her toughness. Our medical people, everyone, all hands on deck. And so to see her in the gym right now practicing, and I mean, she's going to be a problem. I'm just telling you, she is this matchup nightmare. She can shoot the 3. Obviously, she gives you that size, perimeter post, but just her work ethic. And so having Maggie on the floor, Jaden Simmons, I think that all the fans will be proud of just where she is coming into this senior campaign. Her confidence is through the roof right now, and having to pick up a little bit of that role with Ty being out. Journey Thompson, I think the fans saw her just briefly last season. And again, I'm talking about Maggie at 6'4", 6'5", Journey at 6'4". So rebounds, right? That's my thing. And we are definitely going to be better in that category. Trayana Chris, the local Millennium High School star champion. Again, she finished the year, but she was kind of up and down as well. And that's another one that took the off season to train, to get her body healthy and be in a great place. So I'm really proud of where she is. But then now you look at all of these new people that I just have to go down the list. Marina Radikosh, she's from Canada. Again, 6'3", perimeter post, big guard, as we call her. Yep. Mallory Miller. Now, Mallory comes in highly touted. I mean, she told a lot of schools no. She saw opportunity here. She really loved the team, the vision, the vision that we talked about. And she's 6'5", and every bit of it. Can shoot the three, can rebound. She can score inside and out. And so we have height. And so that rebound category, hold me accountable to it, because we're going to make sure we get those rebounds and second chance opportunities.
Well, Coach, I will hold you accountable real quick, but you said it, you did it last year. I mean, undermanned, like I said, and when the injuries kept coming in, look, those giants that are up in the Pacific Northwest, some of the ones that are at UCLA, I know the landscape. I don't have to give it to you again, but you guys, you did battle. Again, it's just they were in position and they got the board. So, but sorry. Right. So you got me excited. I want to come play for you, Coach. I don't have any eligibility left. I don't have any eligibility left. But no,
I know. I'm checking everyone's eligibility right about now. Mallory's sister, Hannah Miller. Again, she's a little shorter, so she's more perimeter, can shoot the three. Jalen Ice Brown. I think that's another name the fans are going to get used to. She's transferring from Louisville, Washington, D.C. native. And so I knew her previously. And sometimes you get them on the back end. You might not get them on the front end. And so I think she's going to be a fan favorite. Marasha Wiggins. She was here a year ago, again, plagued with injury. Mo looks good. I'm just telling you, Mo.
Love this smile. Hey, you smiled last year when it was tough, but like I said, even Coach Hurley, and I talked to Coach Winkworth. By the way, got to give a shout out to your girls. I unfortunately had to watch the game, but I know they were out at the game last night supporting, watching them beat the Trojans. That's awesome. Coach, before I get back, I want to ask you about that real quick, because I know obviously once you guys get into your season, I mean, I've talked to Willie Bloomquist about this. Obviously, Coach Dillingham getting hired, the whirlwind, and he's saying, obviously activate the Valley. But when other programs are winning, and I know even the volleyball team, the soccer and volleyball team both traveled to Northern California together. The volleyball team was out at the Stanford match. But I mean, people say, oh, they're just doing it. It's not forcing, but how much fun is it to support those other teams? But you're working hard, but yet you can, like I say, take a breath for a second and go support those other coaches and teams. How big is that for you? I mean, even in your factor to come into ASU, but how big is that for you to be a part of the family like that?
Well, it's community, right? And we are all Sun Devils and we're all competing, and it's nothing like looking up in the stands or just feeling the energy from the other teams and the coaches, because everyone knows about the grind. And to know that, you have that extra, 6 man and woman in your fellow sports, it's nothing like it. And so we tell our players, actually, it's so fun to watch them go watch another sport, because in some instances they may not know it or understand it. So they're competitors. So they get involved in it. They want to know the rules, and then they on their own. We don't mandate it. Obviously, there are games that we have highlighted on our calendar that work with our schedule, but it's not uncommon for them to say, okay, hey, we're going to the soccer game, we're going to the football game, we're going to the volleyball, because those are their friends outside of just what we do on our daily basis. So they're building relationships and friendships for a lifetime, but it's nothing like supporting your fellow teammates in other sports.
Absolutely. And you talk about, obviously you came into ASU, and I remember talking to you at the presser after the big part was done, saying, when you come in and, obviously Charlie has success, and nobody ever wants to be the coach after the coach. And I said to you, in the little bit of research that I did, I don't know if you remember, saying, man, you took over programs and you obviously got into what you're great at, but you from no matter what point you started, they rose and you left it at a better level than when you found it. So now in your second year at ASU, though, I mean, in building this, like I said, I saw the roster and I'm so excited. I know I'm like a fanboy. I'm sorry, I'm geeking out, Coach. But no, but that being said, like now in your second year, going through the Pac-12, because you even said that in your presser, like, yeah, I know it's going to be a step up. It's going to be tough. What from the returners that you have, but even for you for coaching, and I bring this up at the last part of the question because I tell everybody that knows me, in all sports, and not even if they rip on my teams, compliment my favorite teams, preseason rankings are stupid. But the fact that you guys are picked to finish last, sorry, I know you have more than one person like me raising their hand that are PO'd because that's a bunch of crap. But how much do you use that for fuel? And how much is it just like for the players? Everything's got to be, short-term memory anyway, but to move on. But in your second year, how are you looking to grow that and take all these, ridiculous naysayers who don't even need to be named, but and just growing the program? Because you said you took over a good situation, became very injury plagued, like we touched on, and then but you fought, you battled. People want to see that, and now you have this team. So what do you take from last year and your other experiences and pushing it into this team and going forward?
Well, like I said, this is not my first rodeo, and you're right. And so you just realize you're right on track. Anytime you take over anything in life, not just a team, you have to go in, you have to assess, you have to evaluate who's on board, who's not, who fits the system, who doesn't. And that's no right or wrong. It's different. And for a lot of people, change is uncomfortable. See, change is not uncomfortable for me. I adapt. I adjust. I've done it my whole career. And so I think it's more about understanding, and maybe the fans don't even know, when I accepted the job, the roster was intact. I wouldn't have, I evaluated what was returning when I said yes. Now, by the time I arrived, they were all in the portal. So I had took over. What I was left with was 5% of offense.
Right.
And so we had to immediately fill a roster in the final hour. So what I am excited about is we had an off season.
Yes.
We didn't have an off season a year ago. We had a preseason. We did not have a preseason a year ago. I looked at my staff yesterday. I said, this point a year ago, we did not have 90% of what I have in right now. And because we physically couldn't.
Right.
And to your point, we know what's in that gym. And so we don't get caught up on where they pick us. It's where we finish.
Yep.
And we want to be the best team heading into March. That's what we and we understand that. We're a new team. We're a young team, but we are super talented and we are very determined. I think when you recruit now and you have kids coming from different institutions, you have junior college players, you have players with chips on their shoulders in ways where they want to prove certain things to other people. And so my job and our staff's job is to make sure we just stay focused on the process. And every day you get 1% better. We have standards of our program. We work together and compete together and grow together. And so we block out the background noise. We don't talk about it. They know, they saw it. Everything's on social media. But in practice, did we win the day?
Yep.
And understanding who is that day? What team are we preparing for that day? And so I don't get caught up in the background noise because I evaluate where we are based on what I've done previously. Yep. And I will tell you, we are right on track.
Yeah, it's crazy having a full off season and what recruiting can do and all that good stuff. So, yes. And social media, yes, I know. You coaches say, coaches have to be like, yeah, it's a part of it. It's great, but it's still to quote Bobby Boucher's mother from The Waterboy, Coach. It's the devil. It's the devil at times, but we are Sun Devils, so we approve. Coach, hey, thank you so much for taking the time. Obviously, I'll be out more, and as long as you're okay with it, and Steve and Carter, everybody who's helped me. Getting some players on because, like I said, I've had some volleyball, and I have nothing to do with the volleyball talent, Coach. But Coach Van Niel was the first coach to come on here, and I've had some players, and look, they're 17th in the country. Like I said, I have nothing to do with the talent.
Mojo, I will take it. I will welcome it. I'm so happy for JJ. I have
anything to bring more attention to Pitchfork Lunch and the Devils. Like I told you last year, it's been a brainchild for a while. I said, you know what, forget it. I'm going forward and working on stuff. But yeah, getting you guys out there. And I mean, it was just obviously the meat and potatoes, but no, I'm just kidding. I have nothing to do with the talent. Again, thank you so much for catching up. I look forward to doing this, as the season goes on. And as we, like I said, with soccer, start smacking around those Pac-12 teams.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I'm super proud of all of our sports, our coaches, and you know what? We are onward to victory.
Oh, mic drop from Coach. See, that's why she's the head coach. You're the best. Coach, you are the best. Thank you. And I will hopefully get to see you at practice soon.
Yes, you have an open invitation.
Oh, man. Carter's going to kick me out, but he should because he knows I'm just sitting there like going crazy cheering. So, no, but Coach, thank you. And, let's root the volleyball team on to victory at the mountain schools. And, like I said, I'll be out there Sunday watching the Bruins get pounded by our soccer team.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you. Forks up.
Oh, that is awesome. Mic drop. Coach Adair is like, hey, look, with football, I said it with football. Like, it's one of those things that's crazy. Like, you can't, it happens. And Coach Dillingham says nobody cares. And I always disagree with him on that. I tell him at practice every day, I disagree with nobody cares. Nobody roots for injuries. They're going to have to play against you. They have their own problems. But, yeah, absolutely awesome. We're going to take a quick break. And when I get back, we will talk a little bit more about volleyball and soccer and football because they're up in Seattle and another number 5 team. I don't know. Number 5s don't do well against the Devils when they're ranked number 5. Could be going down. So more coming here on Pitchfork Lunch. All right, back here on Pitchfork Lunch. Man, that is so great. Again, if you're just tuning in and you miss Coach Adair, sorry. But that's why, again, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube. It's at MVC005 on YouTube. At M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat, 005 on YouTube. Subscribe. Look, she said it right there. They battled. Nobody, and that's where I agree with Coach Dillingham. Nobody cares because if you're going to sit there and wallow in it, it's got to be that next person up. It's got to be, you got to take care of it. But yeah, like I said, when I started, in the summer, late summer, when I was sitting there, getting ready for the show and I'm looking at the roster, I was like, wow. I'm like, yeah, transfer portal. It is the devil in a way, but at the same time, look, it's here to stay. Now, again, you can't transfer every year. You get one. And then if you're a graduate, if you graduate, you can transfer again. Conversation details for another day, but that's the long and short of it. So that's the long and short of it. But look, I mean, you get that in basketball, and yeah, there's obviously not as many players, as you would see on a football sideline, and then even, in other sports. But they did battle last year. It was frustrating, and I wanted to get that out of the way. But yeah, you can see you're talking about the new lineup, and yes, it is unfortunate. That's why I started with, Ty Skinner will be done for the year, but like I said, I felt at least somewhat not as bummed talking about it with Coach because she does have eligibility left. What she did on the floor last year, like I said, Coach in that DC area, she recruited that area, knows the area, a lot of good players, and she got that this year. So again, more to come. Just little early season hoops, and like I said, it's tough. It's your first year. You don't want to have your head down. And she said, yeah, when she took over, and that's players' choices. And it is kind of, I know Sun Devil fans, you're like, well, they have the portal now. That's why. And you're going to be like, Michael, you said, they play for a coach. And I understand that. But when everybody always fires back, that's on the other side that says, oh, well, you should be going there for the campus and for everything like that. So, okay, well, I mean, come on. We all know the campus in Tempe can rival many campuses. So it's just, that being said, and that's what she was, dealt. And granted, it was they're in the portal, and now she's there as a staff, as a head coach, as a staff. The good old adage, they're behind the 8 ball, because it's like, well, okay, so and so already, is in the portal, and what do you have? But yeah, it's that grind. It's what they showed in practice last year, and in practice what they could, but in games, and like she said, Maggie Bessel, like, people in Sun Devil country have been waiting a minute, and again, it does suck, but she's a 6'3" forward, and it's it is, again, great to have her again, Ty Skinner again, but still being part of the team. That's why I asked Coach, because I think when players have injuries, and obviously you get the physical part of it done, and you're working hard to get through that, but a lot of times, and it's not mentally healthy to be at practice. Yes, you can't be doing stuff, but seeing what the coach is talking about, helping other players out. If coach is saying something, but like, hey, look at this. Even in games, like on the bench, like, hey, it keeps you engaged in the team, which is obviously important. But yeah, it's going to be big for her to be there. And yeah, she was a part of the team that was out at the soccer match last night. Did I mention? Shout out to Coach Winkworth, forks up, that they took out USC 1-0, by the way. 1-0. And yeah, really no complaints there. So yeah, Coach it's when you get on for soccer, but I mean, to wrap up basketball, like, it was great to see, like she said, out there, and you can't demand that they go, but the fact that they're out there learning, and should have said to her, yeah, they want to learn the rules so they can feel better about hammering refs in other sports and not having any consequences. But no, I'm just kidding. But and Pauline Nellis, 9 clean sheets this season. That's what I was looking for in notes. Sorry, but 9 clean sheets, and yeah. Well, it's just been phenomenal. And Hannah LaPierre last night, by the way, got the game winner in the 82nd minute. And it came off a throw-in, it was in USC's third. And, oh, man, Matthews again with another beautiful pass, and SC's goalie. If you saw the game, saw the highlight, but SC's goalie, again, didn't play it bad, but just floats over her. And on the back post, I don't think she even got, again, Carrie Matthews, you give her space. Look at that. Defense gave her too much space. Beautiful service by Matthews. And it looks like, that's what I was confused with last night. It looks like LaPierre didn't fully get her like a foot on it. It's almost like it literally, like, almost like she just guided it in with her thigh. Either way, it was a beautiful assist by Matthews. Absolutely phenomenal. And they definitely celebrated that win. But yeah, it's that part was huge. But yeah, just to wrap up hoops again, that roster is there. Yeah, and look, it's going to be a part of it, but knock on wood, it doesn't go through like well, to quote the one Miley Cyrus, a wrecking ball, like it did last year. But look, a full off season, I love it. She's mom first, and that's right, she is mom first because and it doesn't matter. You're a coach, you're this, you're that, you're calm. When your kids go to college. And yeah, but no, it's great she's got to see her. And again, it is about family. So get out to women's hoops this year. It'll look, if you haven't been out we talked to Coach Van Neal when they were up in Flagstaff taking on NAU, right? We talked about that. And it's one of those things where he just came in and Roberta talked about it. Roberta Habello, when we had her on, and Mary Schroll kind of piggybacked, but then Shelly Sears like, yeah, I did enter the transfer portal, but with what she was saying, with what Coach Van Neal had done, coaching in the pack and then talking to him, seeing what he wanted to do. And, like she said, focusing more on the groups, what can we do to highlight the group's strengths? And believe me, I know as an athlete, you're always going to be your number one critic. And as a coach, you're going to be owned in on that. Man, I don't know about weakness with this team because defensively, there ain't no weakness. When we talked to Jelly Sear the other day, and even Mary Schroll, when we talked to her, I mean, she's libero. Obviously, that's her, that's in her wheelhouse. That's her huge focus. But, yeah, I mean, they're making digs. And she said, yeah, teams just feeling like they have to always hit that perfect shot because – our defense, we're staying space. We know where we're supposed to be. She's saying all that. And, well, not saying that, they're doing all that. They're living it is the volleyball team. So yeah, that part is absolutely great to see because she stayed and she said, yeah, what Coach Van Neal had. And I mean, for Coach Adair, it's tough to go out and recruit. And in this day and age of social media, again, that's another thing. Other athletes don't want to hear like, oh, well, okay, you were injured, that's why you lost. Now, some will be like, hey, Jelly Sear, she's like, the rebuild part when I was first recruited by ASU didn't scare me. Like, I wanted to be a part of that. I knew what I could bring to the table. That's a confidence you want an athlete exuding. And if they're getting recruited and playing at a high level, in high school, club level, whatever, like, that, like, they're coming in saying, okay, I'm going to keep growing. And I know I have to improve. There are things I have to improve, but I'm going to grow. I'm going to, get the wheels rolling for this team in the right direction. So for Coach Natasha Adair, it was one of those things where, yeah, I mean, they entered the portal and you can't sit there and whine about it. And that is obviously it's here. That is college life as we know it, college sports life as we know it. But yeah, a year of recruiting, like I said, it'll be very exciting. We will obviously keep you up to date, get some interviews too out at practice, and, go from there. But, yeah, that wraps up hoops. The soccer, again, what a phenomenal game. I mean, look, when I kind of touched on the stats in the beginning of the show before the interview, and it's one of those things where, yeah, it's a 1-0 win, and Carrie Matthews and her assist. Like, I don't even want to say it because I don't want to put it out there for the defense. Just let her do her thing, because if I'm coaching and scouting this team, and yes, I get it. You do have to. I played. I get it. Giving space. You're not going to. It's not like basketball. You're going to be right. You can be right up on them. Right up on your, player defending. But yeah, there's a lot of mistakes made. By the way, Nels, that is a single season school record, 9th shutout of the season. And Hannah, that was Hannah Lapierre's second goal. And she scored against Oregon too. Yeah, that's right. We talked about that against Ducks. She scored against the Ducks. So look, they can say the headlines, number 24 soccer, it looks good. Upsets number 11 USC, and again, lower in the rankings. Man, the way we play defense is not upsetting people. Like, it's not an upset. You can't just let them barrage you. And they're not just sitting back either. They're not like packing it in, saying, okay, you can try and pass the ball and swing it, this and that. But yeah, they looking at yesterday's game against the Trojans, who went down 1-0, so not sad about that. So USC only had 2 shots in the first half. Well, so did ASU. Like both teams back and forth, 2 shots in the first half each. USC had 11 shots to ASU's 3 shots in the second half. So, but shots on goal, ASU, so 5 total shots for ASU, 2 on goal. 13 total shots for SC, only 2 on goal for them. 1 save by Hannah Dickinson for SC, who was their goalie. Again, she did not play that pass bad, but Carrie Matthews, man, just such a beautiful pass. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And again, as a forward, just being able to get it into the box, play outside, you're flowing. But yeah, and for Hannah LaPierre to be the beneficiary of that, because like I said, Dickinson, if you see the replay, it's not like she was crazy out of position. She's, face towards Matthews, but she still, has enough to not too far away from the far side. But the way Matthews hit it, as Dickinson starts to go over, and she's like, oh man, and she just had a little bit more air under it than she had judged. And as she goes up, it goes over, and LaPierre comes in, obviously onside behind it, and just guides it in to the goal to get the only score to win 1-0. But corner kicks. Sorry, I said they had 15. USC had 14 corner kicks. 14. 5 in the first half, 9 in the second. That is a ton of set piece defending. And I know for some out there, not that you're ripping on me, you'll say, well, Mike, I mean, it's a set piece, so isn't it a little easier to defend? It gets tiring. Believe me, at having 9 of them in the second half, it's just, you're trying to keep that ball from going past the end line. You'd much rather give up a throw-in to overstate the obvious. I know for you world football gurus, for you soccer gurus. But yeah, the goal is in the 72nd minute. Emily Simpson, by the way, Emmy Simpson also got an assist on the goals, on the LaPierre goal. But yeah, I mean, 14 corner kicks, that is a lot to defend, kids, because at some point, even having a phenomenal goaltender like the Sun Devils have, like 14, man, again, you get above 10, and for one not to find its way in, I mean, defending that, you have to be disciplined every time. And the Trojans gave themselves the opportunity, to say the least. So yeah, they both have 16 points now, by the way. The Sun Devils 9-3-1, 5-1-1 in conference play. 10-2, or no, sorry, that's Southern Cal. Southern Cal's 9-3-1 now, 5-1-1 in conference play. The Sun Devils are 10-2-4 and 5-1-1 in conference play. That's right. Coach Winkworth, again, he came on the show. I have nothing to do with the talent, but I love the Pitchfork Lunch Mojo. I love it. It does exist. It is a real thing. If ever you don't get to talk out of both sides of your mouth. If you think the broadcaster jinx exists in any sport, basketball with free throws, football with, kicks or not throwing an interception or an incompletion, or, baseball with, he hasn't walked a guy or hit a batter and, whatever. If you think it exists, then you can't say that this doesn't exist. The positive, the huge mojo vibes, it's good mojo. Nothing to do with their talent. They're very talented. So we'll just leave it at that. A little back and forth there. But get on out there on Sunday at noon, Soccer Stadium. The Bruins are in town, and they're just coming off a 4-1 victory. Yeah, they still haven't updated it on the standings. They have the win up, but they don't have the points updated. So if you're looking at the Pac-12 website, it still says the Sun Devils are 4-1-1 and SC's 5-0-1. But they have the loss for SC up and the win for ASU up, but they haven't adjusted the points. So UCLA, they won. They're up to 21. Stanford they beat Oregon State 3-1. They're up to 19. SC still at 16. ASU now up to 16. Cal is up to 13 after an 8-1 drubbing of Oregon. Colorado still at 8. Utah still at 5. Washington State, they are now up to 7. So they jumped over Utah in the standings, and as did Washington. They are now up to 7. They had a 3-1 win over Utah, so they're up to 7 points. Arizona's still at 4. Oregon State, well, they're still at 2, and Oregon at 0. That's points wise. So yeah, UCLA is 7-0-0, Stanford 6-0-1, ASU 5-1-1, and USC 5-1-1. So, hey man, they are rocking it. Before we get out of here real quick, again, the volleyball team, the women's volleyball team, they are out they're taking on Utah tonight. They got the Mountain Schools, like I said, then they have Colorado, and 18-2 overall for our Lady Devils, coming off that 3-set sweep of number 5 Oregon. Yeah, they did fall in Corvallis. I'll talk about that in 5. Talked about it with Jelly Sear, but they moved on, and they were watching warmups and they felt a little disrespected. So yes, teams, please keep feeling that. Keep just maybe give them a little more fuel, because they are very talented and very solid. They got Utah tonight at 5 p.m. local time. It'll be on the Pac-12 network. So, again, don't be bashful. Check it out. Hockey is home tonight at 7 p.m., by the way. Oh, well, hold on. Before we get to hockey. So, tonight, volleyball, Utah. And that is, like I said, 5 p.m. And then Sunday, they take on the Buffaloes at 11 a.m. On Pac-12 Arizona. So, again, you have it. Absolutely awesome. But, yeah, Utah tonight, because real quick, when we look at the volleyball standings, you said ASU 18-2. Stanford still up top at 8-0. Washington State is 7-1. ASU third, though. They are 6-2. Again, losses to Stanford and Oregon State. But, wins over Washington and Oregon and all that good stuff. So, yes. So, and Utah is 3-5, like I said, right now. Again, looking to improve, but they lost actually in 5 in their last match. I talked about that yesterday, but yeah, and then Colorado's 2-6. So look, it's teams that if they do what they should do, especially their serve receive. I mean, Jelly Sear talked about it, but serving, I mean, getting to stuff, running that offense, feeding Marta Levinska. It's But everybody else is not just feeding Marta Levinska. I mean, I talked about this. When you look at the kills, and I'll wrap on this, Sun Devil Nation. Yes, Levinska has 296 kills, so almost 300. So after this weekend, she'll be over 300 kills for the season. Jelly Sear has 200. Talk to her about that. Also, 18 aces. No, that's assist. Sorry. But Marta Levinska, 296 kills, right? Sear has 200. Roberta Habello, up to 153. Claire Jeter, 108. That's 912 kills. When you look at the other side, when I'm talking about aces real quick, Marta Levinska is tied with Mary Schroll. And Marta Levinska did have most of the lead for most of the season, but Mary Schroll caught up to her. 29 aces for Levinska, 29 aces for Schroll, 28 aces for Shannon Shields, 19 for Jelly Sear, 18 for Claire Jeter. Like, that is huge. Again, 146. They're about to win. So they get 4 aces this weekend, which you would think they could. But if they got 4, it's 150 aces, right? That is winning 2 matches on aces alone. Like, when you break the little things down to like that and not having the serve receive errors. Like, that's just crazy. And lastly, like I said, on Diggs, Mary Schroll, 251. I mean, as a libero, you expect that. But Jelly Sear, I talked to her about that. Her defense, not only is her attacking solid, but even if it's a little off, she is grinding. She's second on the team in digs with 173. Shannon Shields, the setter, and Jelly and I talked about that, 147. You love to see the hustle. Just wish your setter didn't have to get the dig, you know. But either way, 147. Marta Levinska, 118. So she leads the team in kills, does Levinska. She's tied for the lead in aces, and she is 4th in digs. Like, yeah, you're going to be a 6 rotation player when you're doing that. As like, and Jelly Sear, I mean, like I said, 173 digs. So yeah, it's exciting. Homer or not, like this. See, I can get excited. It's not a false excitement because the numbers show it, and when you see their play on the court, which leads to these numbers, absolutely phenomenal. So forks up, go get them this weekend. Devils obviously take care of Utah and Colorado. Again, have a great weekend. Have an awesome weekend. I will be, like I said, out at the soccer match on Sunday, which just once again, just so you know, it is at noon. Oh, is at 1 o'clock? I thought it was at noon. Okay, well, I'm glad. See, I told you noon. You would have been there way early. The game is at 1 o'clock, and number 2 UCLA trucking in town. Number 11 just went down. Let's see what we can do with number 2, and they are going to be tough. It is going to be a phenomenal matchup, and UCLA, yeah, they're good for a reason. But it'd be nice to send the Bruins, home pounding sand. Go back to the beach, go enjoy your beach. But yeah, 1 p.m. at Sun Devil Soccer Stadium. That is what, because the Washington State game was at 12. See, I knew, maybe I was looking at that. But either way, 1 o'clock, and they got the Bruins. So go, cheer on Coach Winkworth and this team, because it is going to be a sick matchup, and it'll be nice and toasty for the beach weather Bruins. So have a phenomenal weekend. I'm going to get out of here. I will see you on Monday. Obviously, the Devils up in Washington, like I talked about earlier, taking on the Huskies tomorrow. Let's see if we can upset a number 5. It's a tall task, huge, tall task. But yeah, got football tomorrow, volleyball, hockey tonight, football tomorrow, volleyball and soccer on Sunday. So, hey, have a great weekend. I will see you on Monday. Any thoughts, questions, concerns, hit me up on Twitter at Diablo00. Subscribe to the YouTube at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 at MVC005 on YouTube. So have a great weekend. And yes, Sun Devil Nation, you know it. As always, forks up.
Thank you. lead. They're getting a little wobbly.
Justin Chapman rebound. Robbie Ryan for three. She hits it, and we are tied.
Terry's three.
Johnny Walker, matching up against control. His shot, through score, they score. They tie the game up 2-2.
Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Taya Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse.
Wow.